All right, everybody, welcome back. Today, we're going to be looking at lead magnets.
Oh, yeah, those little digital freebies.
Exactly. You know, those ebooks, checklists, those webinars that businesses use to try to get you on their email lists. So, we came across this marketing guru who goes by the very interesting name of Twisty.
Twisty.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they had a banner year with their lead magnet, so I'm very curious to see what their secrets are.
Right.
And they actually laid out their secrets in their newsletter, which is called the Spizz newsletter.
Spizz newsletter.
Yeah. So, I don't know, maybe that's just their brand.
Yeah.
But it's a very interesting name. But they seem to know what they're talking about when it comes to lead magnets.
Right.
So they say there are 10 factors that are critical to having an effective lead magnet.
Okay.
So should we dive in?
Let's do it.
Okay. So the first one is immediate value and relevance.
Okay.
This seems pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Why would you give someone something that is not valuable and not relevant?
Right.
But I think it's probably a lot easier said than done sometimes.
I think it's a lot easier said than done. And I also think that, we get so caught up in what we think is important that we lose sight of what the actual customer wants. So I think a lot of people will create something that they think is valuable and relevant, but when you look at it from the lens of your target audience, it might not be hitting the mark.
Oh, that's a great point.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that that's something to really be careful of.
Yeah.
You have to really put yourself in your ideal client's shoes.
Absolutely.
And say, okay, is this actually going to be valuable to them, or am I just creating this because I think it sounds cool?
Yeah.
Okay, so the second one, low commitment, high appeal.
Okay.
And I think this is a great point. No one wants to sign up for something, they get a lead magnet, and then it ends up being like, this huge thing that they have to do.
Right.
They're like, oh my gosh, I just signed up for like a whole course.
Yeah. You want something like quick and dirty.
Yeah.
And easy.
Yeah, and easy, and something that is, but also like high appeal, So it's like, wow, I can get this thing. It's not going to take much of my time, and it looks really good.
Right. You want something that's like a quick win.
Exactly.
So like, think of like a cheat sheet.
Yeah.
Or like a checklist, something like that, where it's just like immediately you can implement it.
Yeah, totally.
You see the value right away.
Okay, so the next one, number 3.
Whoa.
Trendy.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a little bit hesitant about this one because I feel like a lot of times people are just chasing trends.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that this one can be a little bit tricky.
Yeah.
Because I think, like you were saying, people are just chasing trends, and sometimes what's trendy doesn't really have substance.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think it really depends on the context.
Yeah, well, what do they say?
Well, they're talking more about like being in tune with the conversations that are happening.
Okay.
That your target audience is interested in.
Okay, so it's more about like understanding your ideal client and what's trendy in their world.
Yeah, like what are their pain points?
Okay.
What are they struggling with right now?
Yeah.
And like, how can your lead magnet address those issues?
Yeah, so it's not so much about just being trendy for the sake of being trendy. It's about knowing what's trendy for your ideal client.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Okay, number 4 is emotional connections.
Ooh.
This is interesting because, lead magnets are often, kind of thought of as like logical.
Right.
Like, okay, this is, the 10 steps to whatever.
Yeah.
So what do they mean by emotional connections?
Well, they're talking about like really tapping into like the psychology of your target audience.
Okay.
So like understanding what makes them tick. What are their fears?
Yeah.
What are their aspirations? And like, how can you create a lead magnet that speaks to those deeper emotions?
Okay.
So for example, a lot of people are afraid of like missing out or like not being successful.
Yeah.
So, if you can create a lead magnet that's like, hey, download this checklist and avoid these 5 common mistakes that entrepreneurs make.
Oh, okay.
That's tapping into that fear.
Right, yeah.
Of like not wanting to mess up.
Okay.
And it's also providing like a solution.
Yeah, and it's giving them something very actionable.
Exactly.
Okay, that's really interesting. So you're kind of like almost creating a little bit of like intrigue and mystery and like, oh, I've got to know what these 5 things are.
Yeah, curiosity.
Yeah, curiosity.
Sure.
Okay, so the next one is visually appealing ads.
Okay.
Now, I assume this applies not to the lead magnet itself.
Right.
Because obviously the lead magnet should look good too, but they're talking about the ads that lead people to the lead magnet.
Yeah, this is all about first impressions.
Okay.
Because you might have, like, the greatest lead magnet in the world.
Yeah.
But if your ad is boring or it's confusing,
No one's going to click it.
no one's going to kick it. Exactly.
Okay.
So, you want to make sure that your ad is visually appealing, it's eye-catching, and it clearly communicates the value of your lead magnet.
Okay.
So think about using, like, high-quality images, maybe some, like, bright colors, bold fonts, and really just make it pop.
So it's almost like the ad is a mini lead magnet itself?
In a way, yeah.
Okay.
It's got to hook them.
It's got to hook them. Okay, number 6, shareability factor.
The shareability factor.
Now, I feel like this is the holy grail of lead magnets.
It is. It's like the dream.
Because if people are sharing your lead magnet, then you're basically getting free advertising.
Yeah, it's like word-of-mouth marketing on steroids. So, if you can create something that's so valuable, so insightful, so entertaining, so whatever it is, that people want to share it with their friends, with their colleagues, with their audience, then you've struck gold.
Yeah, you've got a free marketing machine at that point.
Exactly.
Okay.
Think about those infographics that go viral.
Yeah.
Or those articles that everyone's sharing on LinkedIn.
Okay, so how do you make something shareable, though?
Well, I think it starts with really understanding your audience and what they find valuable, and then creating something that's high quality, that's well designed, that's easy to understand, and that's, either insightful or entertaining or both.
Okay, so it's not just about the content itself. It's also about the packaging.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
It's got to look good, it's got to be easy to digest, and it's got to be something that people are proud to share.
Okay, so that's really interesting. So it's not just about, like, making a really good lead magnet. It's also about thinking about how people are going to share it and how you can make it easy for them to share.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's really good. Okay, the next one is specificity, segmentation, and targeting.
Okay.
Now, this kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier about, really understanding your ideal client.
It does, yeah.
But it's more than that. It's about, like, really drilling down and saying, okay, who exactly are we trying to reach with this lead magnet?
Yeah, this is all about moving away from that one-size-fits-all approach.
Right.
Because, the more specific you can be with your lead magnet, the more valuable it's going to be to the people who receive it.
Okay, so give me an example.
Okay, so let's say you're a marketing consultant.
Okay.
And you have a lead magnet that's just a general ebook about marketing.
Okay.
That's fine, but it's not going to be as effective as if you had, like, a lead magnet that was specifically for, like, Instagram marketing for fashion bloggers.
Okay, so you're really niching down.
Yeah, you're niching down, you're getting specific, and you're really speaking to the needs of a very specific segment of your audience.
Okay, so it's all about, like, being very clear on who you're trying to reach.
Exactly.
Okay, and then the next one, number 8, is customizability.
Customizability.
Oh, this is interesting.
This one's cool.
Because, a lot of times you think of lead magnets as being, like, static.
Right.
Like, it's a PDF or it's a checklist and that's it.
Yeah.
But they're talking about actually making it so that it can be customized.
Yeah. So, like, how can you add a little bit of personalization to the experience?
Okay.
So, for example, you could have a worksheet
Okay.
that has prompts that guide the user to apply the information to their specific situation.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Or you could have, like, an assessment where people can, like, answer questions and then get, like, personalized recommendations based on their answers.
Well, that's cool.
So it's all about, like, making it interactive.
Yeah.
And engaging.
Yeah, so it's not just like a passive, download and read. It's actually something that they can, like, interact with.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so number 9, positioning as an authority.
Okay.
Now, I think this is really important because, especially in today's world, there's so much information out there.
Right.
So how do you position yourself as an authority?
Well, I think it starts with really knowing your stuff.
Okay.
You got to be an expert in your field.
Okay.
And you got to be able to communicate that expertise in a way that's clear, concise, and compelling. So your lead magnet should showcase your knowledge, your insights, your experience, your unique perspective.
Okay.
And it should do it in a way that builds trust and credibility with your audience.
So how do you do that?
Well, you can use case studies.
Okay.
You can share original research. You can offer data-driven insights. You can even just share your own personal stories and anecdotes.
Okay, so it's not just about, like, the facts and figures. It's also about, like, being a real person.
Exactly.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
And then the last one, number 10, is building trust.
The foundation of any relationship.
Okay, so why is this important for lead magnets?
Well, because, a lead magnet is often the first interaction that someone has with your brand.
Right.
So you want to make sure that it's a positive experience.
Mm-hmm.
You want to make sure that you're providing value up front.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure that you're setting the stage for a long-term relationship.
Okay.
So, don't just try to trick people into giving you their email address.
Yeah.
Really focus on creating something that's genuinely helpful.
Right.
And that's going to make people want to learn more from you.
So it's not just about, like, getting the lead. It's about, like, actually nurturing that lead
Right.
and building a relationship with them.
Exactly.
Okay, that's great. It's interesting. I'm noticing that Twisty, they kind of embody these 10 factors in their own service offerings.
Oh, yeah.
So I was looking on their website, and they have these things like, growth coordinator and Twisty CA and CMO in a box.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all kind of like these different levels
Right.
of, engagement with their brand.
So they're practicing what they preach.
Yeah, it seems like it.
That's cool.
So I thought that was interesting. And they also recommend this software called ChiroHD,
Mm-hmm.
which is supposedly the #1 social media recommended EHR in chiropractic.
Wow. They're really specific.
Yeah, so I thought that was interesting. And it kind of goes back to that whole, like, trendy thing,
Yeah. And positioning themselves as an authority
Exactly.
by recommending this.
Exactly.
Very cool.
Okay, so we've gone through all 10 of these. I don't know about you, but this
Uh-huh.
has been very eye-opening for me.
Yeah, me too.
And I think that there are a lot of really great takeaways here.
Absolutely.
So what do you think is, like, the biggest takeaway from all of this?
I think the biggest takeaway is that lead magnets are not just about getting leads.
Yeah.
They're about providing value.
Okay.
They're about building relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And they're about positioning yourself as an authority in your field.
Okay.
So if you can do all of those things, then you're going to be well on your way to creating lead magnets that actually work.
Okay, so thinking about your own, area of expertise or your business or whatever it is, what kind of lead magnet could you create?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah, that would actually embody all of these 10 factors.
Yeah.
That's something to think about.
That's something to think about for sure.
Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed this deep dive, and we will see you next time.
Bye.